வெல்கம் டு அவர் சேனல் பி சிம்பிள். இதுவரை நம்ம சேனலை சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணாதவங்க சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணுங்க. மறக்காம பக்கத்தில் இருக்கிற பெல் ஐக்கானை கிளிக் பண்ணுங்க.
UNIT-3 poem. Lines written in early spring. Read the lines given below and answer the questions that follow. 1. And it's my faith that every flower enjoys the air it breathes. A. What is the poet's faith? The poet's faith is that every flower enjoys its life. B. What trait of nature do we see here? We see the happiness of nature here. 2. And I must think, do all I can, that there was pleasure there. A. What did the poet notice about the twigs? The twigs try to catch the breezy air. B. What was the poet's thought about them? The poet's thought was that they were all very happy. 3. If this belief from heaven be sent, if such be nature's holy plan. A. What does heaven refer to? Heaven refers to God. B. Why does the poet call it holy? As this is the plan of God, he calls it holy. Explain the following lines with reference to the context in about 4 to 5 sentences each. 1. In that sweet mood when pleasant thoughts bring sad thoughts to the mind. Reference. These lines are taken from the poem Lines Written in Early Spring, written by Wordsworth. Context. The poet is sitting in a grove and his mind is filled with pleasant and sad thoughts. Explanation. In an early spring, Wordsworth sat in a small woodland grove and listened to the bird song around him. The birds' songs promoted happy thoughts in his mind. But the same happy thoughts brought some sadness to him. Man did not treat nature well, though it created a strong connection with him. So he feels sad. 2. The birds around me hopped and played, their thoughts I cannot measure. A reference. These lines are taken from the poem Lines Written in Early Spring, written by Wordsworth. Context. The poet wants to emphasize that the flowers and birds are happy in this world. Explanation. He felt sorry to know the reality of man in this world. Nature brings happiness to the soul of man, which is connected to nature. But man has not done anything good to mankind and nature. Wordsworth sat in a small woodland grove and listened to the bird song around him. The birds seemed to be happily jumping and playing around him, but he could not understand what they had in their mind. 3. Have I not reason to lament what man has made of man? Reference. These lines are taken from the poem Lines Written in Early Spring, written by Wordsworth. Context. The poet says that man has not done anything to make man happy. Explanation. The poet thinks that mankind alone has caused sorrow to himself. Actually, man is meant to spend his days happily. So he laments the sufferings of the man. The poet's soul is lamenting the miseries of man. Read the following sets of lines and identify the figures of speech used in each. Extract. A. To her fair works did nature link the human soul that through me ran. Answer: personification. B. And it's my faith that every flower enjoys the air it breathes. Answer: personification. C. What man has made of man? Answer: alliteration, rhetorical question. 6. Based on your reading of the poem, answer the following questions in a sentence or two each. A. How does the poet feel while enjoying the beauty of nature? The poet feels happy and sad while enjoying the beauty of nature. B. Does nature affect a person's thoughts and feelings? Explain. Nature affects a person's thoughts and feeling. He feels happy to be in the midst of plants and flowers. Nature is connected to the soul of man. C. How do people bring grief and sorrow to one another? People do not think about the welfare of others. They plan to destroy others. Thus people bring grief and sorrow to one another. D. Why does the poet think that the birds were happy? Birds were jumping and playing around him. So the poet thinks that birds were happy. E. The poet finds joy in various objects of nature. Explain. The poet sits in a grove which is full of plants. Then he finds joy in different flowers. He enjoys looking at the birds which are jumping and playing. F. Bring out the poet's thoughts while comparing nature with human behavior. Nature gives its best to the human beings, but man does not treat nature well. He is responsible for the destruction of nature and man. Paragraph. Lines written in early spring has been written by Wordsworth, the famous English Romantic poet. He is popularly known as nature poet. All his themes are closely connected with nature. In this poem the speaker tells that while sitting reclined on a woodland grove, his mind is filled with several thoughts. While he finds solace in the nature's beauty, the same beauty also fills his mind with despair. The speaker appreciates the nature for her godlike abilities of linking a human soul to herself, but he also feels grief while thinking about how cruelly man has separated himself from Mother Nature. The speaker is highly appreciative of the nature's beauty. He finds delight in the green bowers and has faith that the beautiful flowers enjoy every ounce of the air they breathe, and they are thankful for living beside nature. The speaker observes the birds which sing and hop around him, and he is in awe of these creatures. Though the speaker does not understand their language and ways, he does recognize that the birds are creating all these movements out of sheer pleasure and joy. The breeze flowing is sweet and light, the twigs are spreading out as if to catch the sweet air, and all the speaker can do is gather pleasure in their existence. The speaker questions that if this is heaven and this is the holy plan of nature, then what has man made of man that is himself and his kind, by separating from such joy? Simplified paragraph. In this poem Wordsworth describes a bittersweet moment. He reclines in a beautiful grove surrounded by the blended notes of nature. He looks more closely at the jubilant birds, plants and other creatures of nature. He feels that it is only the irresponsible act of human beings that brings sorrow to all. Thus he has a good reason to be sad about what man has made of man.
தேங்க்யூ ஃபார் வாட்சிங். இந்த வீடியோவை பற்றின உங்களோட கருத்துக்களை கமெண்டில் சொல்லுங்கள். இதுவரை நம்ம சேனலை சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணாதவங்க மறக்காமல் சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணுங்கள், லைக் பண்ணுங்கள், ஷேர் பண்ணுங்கள்.